that's what I'm saying. We're called to love. It doesn't mean we have to agree, but we're called to love. At the same time, very similar story, but different situation. I was in Chelsea. These two guys pop in. So I get into the car, and I realized, I don't remember if they told me why. And I said, they could have been taking me anywhere. But anyway, they took me up to Union Hospital in Salem. In this case, their cousin was 21 years old and overdosed on cocaine. He was brain dead. Okay? His entire family was sitting around him praying. Right? Someone took a brown scapular, put it around him. And they asked me to make sure I gave him the sacraments. What were they caring about? They weren't actually praying for his healing. They were praying for his salvation. That was their greatest concern. Because they understood. And that's the powerful message. And we've got to realize that not enough people in the church get that. Right? They really don't. So it's important. And, you know, I told you, those who can do, those who can't teach. Well, if you call me at 3 o'clock in the morning because you want your relative anointed, I may not be happy about it, but I'm going to be happy you did it. I mean, I might be driving saying, oh, it's very right. But when I get there, I'm happy you did that. Because I know, it's my favorite sacrament, I know how important that is. That is so important that we give the anointing. That's so important to call someone. And I don't care if it's midnight, because that's why I'm there. And to give someone the rights, the rights so that they may experience the fullness. Because that's what we are about. Right? So everything we do is based on that. Teaching people and letting people know that they are loved. And our whole thing has to be about salvation. But there are people out there who don't understand what we believe in, and because of that, they believe that they are not loved by God because you have to be X type of person to be loved by God. That's not true. Okay? Now, there are certain things we might say, maybe you're not ready to receive the Eucharist. Okay? Maybe you're not ready for this, but you are ready to know that you are loved by God. Father Rufus Pereira said, if you look in the Bible, there's this part where they bring, this is in the Gospels, they bring the man through the roof and put him in front of Jesus. The first thing, before he says, your sins are forgiven, the first thing he says to him is, my son. Right? He says, because he's making him understand his love. The worst pain, he adds, that anyone can experience is abandonment, which is why Jesus says on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? The worst pain, and that's actually one of the things the saints say is the worst pain in hell. You feel you're away from God. That's it. It's so essential that people understand that's okay, we love you, it's okay. Maybe you disagree with us. Maybe you have a lifestyle that's different but we're not going to turn around and ignore that. But we're not going to turn around and say, get out of here. Okay? We're going to embrace that because that's what God calls us to do. He didn't turn around and say, get out of here. There were people who said, we want nothing to do with you, and they were the Pharisees. But there were also the people who followed the rules, and only the rules, and nothing beyond that. Okay, so, and that's where we have our problems. Even if we're talking to people who are focused on the rules to the point that they miss the point of love, right? There's this thing going around where people are talking about this doctrine, I'm seeing that all the time, called, ever heard of this Massa Damnata? That's Massa Dam, that's what it means. Most people are going to hell. But one of the things I look at when I hear people say that is, it's our job to make sure that doesn't happen. So maybe if you're turning around and saying, we can forget those people because they're all those kinds of people, you have to turn around and say, maybe the Lord will say, you never reached out to them, right? There's a precedent for that. Saint Alphonsus Liguori said, The priest who works very hard to make sure that his soul is saved will lose it because he didn't care about anybody else. You know, that's St. Alphonsus Liguori. We're all called to do that, but reaching out.